My wife told me she heard a rumor that she is cheating on me. Revealed it was not a rumor. She has an affair and got pregnant.
Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Peter, and this is the Freshmaster Channel.
Very sorry for the super long-winded nature of this, but want to give as much detail as possible for as accurate advice as possible. Also, this is my first time posting on Reddit, so not quite sure how it all works, but spent all day reading stories here after stumbling upon this subreddit, and many of them and the advice offered spoke to me. I'm 36, my wife is 33. We have 4 young children, all under 11. We have always talked between ourselves that we felt we had a lot of love for each other and filled each other's gaps well, and were very happy to be around each other as well as happy to take care of each other. I think this is a fair assessment of our marriage until 3 years ago we both had large trust issues develop within 6 months of each other. It's ultimately my fault she ended up pregnant with our 4th child. She wanted to be done at 3 and I still held out hope for another 1 or even 2. So I told her I wouldn't support permanent contraceptive when she brought it to me, and through not enough care by me we ended up pregnant with baby number 4. She was not happy, to say the least. About 6 months before the baby came, I heard a rumor that my wife was cheating on me from my wife. Allegedly she had heard it from a mutual friend and wanted to warn me of it before I heard it separately. I did not believe her when she told me there was no validity to this rumor, and she claimed to have only interacted with this man alone once and it was fully innocuous by her account. She had no idea where any basis for this rumor came from. After lots of talking I decided I had to take her word on it with such flimsy evidence and so much at stake in our marriage with the kids and a mostly day-to-day happy life. So there's the basis of our marriage failing apart and getting worse the past 3 years. She resented me for getting pregnant a 4th time and me not being able to let this rumor go and worsening my trust issues. Update. Edited for clarity. I did not know about all 4 affairs for the last 3.5 years. I caught her for the first time in her 3rd affair November 20. It was presented as an emotional affair with nothing physical. I was considering reconciliation with her until March 21 when I found out about the other 3 affairs and the depth of betrayal. I lost all hope for our then. I have been working on my exit since then. I hope that helps clarify where I'm at. Found out my wife was texting another man all day every day while at work for 3 months. It was the same man she was rumored to have had an affair with 3 years prior. I confronted her the day I discovered it. Mistake, should have gathered evidence. She admitted to only what I knew. Cheaters seriously follow a script, I swear. Claimed she was having an emotional affair because we were having serious divorce discussions and going through a rocky period in our marriage and was scared about facing life after alone and incapable. I basically made the post in hopes someone could convince me my wife's affair was special and the exception, it wasn't, and I'd be able to keep my family and marriage and make it work if I wanted to. Most advice was to drop her. She was more than likely cheating physically as well, and it was likely much worse than I knew at that time, and I spent most the thread defending her. Oh, what a fool I was. Been putting this off due to lack of energy, motivation, but I felt I owed the community an update after all the advice that was offered, and I have spent countless hours reading stories and advice in this sub since. I don't even really know how to structure this or lay it out, but I'll just throw it out and go with it, I guess. Apologies for the length. Brevity is not a strength of mine. Winking face. Her story after I confronted her last November was she admitted to an emotional affair where she let a friendship get out of hand and progress to basically being in a relationship where they talked all day every day and were essentially in the early stages of dating without being together. Classic emotional affair, I thought. Also one she said she broke off about 3 weeks before I discovered it. Phone records showed a huge drop in contact, so I took that as a positive for her and her story as well. She looked me in the eyes and swore to me many times over and over these important, to me, lines were never crossed. She never once met him in person. She did. She never once sent him pictures of herself. She did. Their conversations were not overly sexual. They were. She never once told him she loved him. She did. After months of feeling hopeless and like there was no getting past the emotional affair, I started to give myself a glimmer of hope in a future together. From what I saw in her behaviors, it all lined up with being remorseful and willing to do the work needed to keep me if I would have her. She offered her phone for data recovery, any monitoring software I wanted to install, any restrictions I wanted to put on her to feel more secure with her, answered my questions, open to discussing her affair, willing to do a polygraph whenever I wanted to take her, started individual counseling, called and explained any delay from her normal routine, Sent pictures of where she was. I mean, you get the idea. I really felt she was putting in the work, and I let my guard down for a week and gave her affection and care like I used to, and she reciprocated tenfold, and damn it, it was beautiful and felt great. Though at the same time, it made me very sad as I realized how little love she had given me for years. As part of me deciding to try to get past it, I decided to contact the AP's wife to get confirmation on my wife's story. She found out about 2 months after I confronted her that he wasn't divorced at all. He's just a predatory serial cheater who specifically targets married women because they are better at keeping their game secret. So I spent a day conversing with the AP's wife and got more truth from her in an hour than I got from my wife in years. It really was pathetic how far over all the lines she swore repeatedly she never crossed she actually was. I told my wife I had spent all day talking with the AP's wife and I knew everything, at least as much as the AP's wife knew, but did not let on exactly how much. She called me like crazy, I did not answer. She texted like crazy. I did not respond, aside that she needed to tell me everything once and for all. She agreed that she would. When I got home she was already packing up boxes. I guess expecting I'd kick her out for what she was about to admit to. So here's the whole story best I can piece it together between her confession, my investigating, and the AP's wife's info. My wife has been in and out of a relationship with this same man for 10 months out of the last 3.5 years. Technically 4 times since late 2017. Each time this guy would start snooping around professing to finally be single and available, and each time my wife would eat it up and start her, in my opinion, monkey branching. 3 of the 4 times only ending it when the AP's wife would catch them on her end and threaten to tell me about it. Would she then break it off for a year or so at a time, until the next time he showed up on her radar divorced and available, for real this time baby. Lol. If you're keeping score at home, her biggest reason for wanting out of the marriage and hating me was her getting pregnant with our 4th child. You can read the last thread as to why I was at fault for that, and I do accept my fault in it. Unfortunately for that story though, I was able to nail her down to admitting her first affair with this man started 2 months before she ever got pregnant, so the biggest crutch for hating me and our marriage being awful went right out the window in my opinion. I am of the opinion that whenever she thought he was available and they were talking, suddenly our relationship was garbage and without value. Whenever they would get caught and have to break it off, suddenly I wasn't such a bad guy after all. She of course denies this as her reality. I can't see it any other way though, as she never tried to break anything off with me or push for divorce outside of their active affair periods. The quick and dirty, get it, breakdown of each affair is this. First affair. Strictly texting, flirting and a few mild pictures. Broken up by AP's wife after 2 months. Second affair. 1 year later, full emotional affair with constant phone calls, texting, sexting, nudes and 2 physical sex acts without actual sex. Broken up by AP's wife after 3 months. Third affair. 1.5 years later, full emotional affair with constant phone calls, texting, sexting, nudes, multiple meetups for sex acts while her mom or I watched our 4 kids and she was in town for errands, full on in love. Planning their future together. She spent more time conversing with him than she did with me for 3 months, until things between them turned sour after multiple red flags started showing and she realized maybe the fairy tale wasn't true again. I caught her and she said she had broke it off on her own 3 weeks prior. Phone records show a 90% drop in texts and calls after the date she said she ended it, so I guess it seems plausible if it really mattered at that point. Fourth affair. 1 month after I caught her she started back up with him again with daily texting, calls and sexting again, but no meetups. She said she figured she might as well try to make that relationship work since she threw her whole life away for it and I wasn't going to stay with her. This went on again for 2 months until the AP's wife caught them again on her side. I had no idea she had started back up with him and she was continuing to play nice with me, professing her regret and wishing it had gone differently. AP's wife contacted her and blew up their relationship for the 3rd time in as many years. The AP ghosted my wife and refused to answer for any of the 1,000 lies he told her, and she broke down and cried on her mom's floor, realizing that he had played her yet again and there would be no white picket fence together in their future. He used her for sexting, ego stroking, nudes, a few sex acts when he could persuade her, and basically playing his game while he was working. This is the 6th affair he's had that just I know of, so he's quite good at it by now. Oh, and yes, I do know the guy and he knows me and my 4 kids personally by name, and he was all good with helping my wife blow up our family just so he could get a little side action from her. It's all so disgusting. I honestly do feel pity and sadness for my wife. She allowed herself to get played by a player. She told me some of the things he would say and they were straight up cringe from a movie or something, but she wanted to believe, so she did. She threw away her marriage and the family we built together to be a con artist's side piece for a few months. It's pathetic and sad. That said, I don't take any blame away from her on this just because she got used by him again. Like, come on, you gotta learn at some point, right? She made all the horrible selfish choices that put her in that position, so she has full ownership of the consequences in my mind. I told her she got what she deserved from him and she agreed. So that was 4 months ago. I guess she's out of the affair fog now, because now that her boyfriend is off the table again I don't look so bad for the third time. Lol. She keeps telling me she's just going to commit to me and work on keeping me until I tell her to stop. We're still living together but not really in a relationship, more just living together while we handle household responsibilities. I often tell her I won't be able to get past this, there's just too much. It's literally the worst kind of affair. She followed the cheaters playlist to a T in my opinion. She never committed to me while the amazing boyfriend was available. She says she couldn't do that to me knowing all the other stuff that was eventually going to come out. She didn't want to embarrass me. Like, I for sure wish you thought about that before you cheated on me any of the 4 times. Ha! I am not under any illusions that a relationship can really come back from this. It's about as screwed as it can get. She always seems sad and surprised when I remind her marriages don't really come back from multiple affairs over many years. Like it hadn't crossed her mind in that way or something. Our day-to-day is fine. We really were a solid couple for a lot of our 15 years. We make each other laugh and happy and hardly fight, and that's the super sad part. We could have and should have been really good. I think the best I am hoping for is an amicable divorce and cooperative co-parenting. And that's a big bummer, but I think it's the reality. I've talked with a lawyer and am going again to clear up a few more questions I had pop up. Divorce isn't going to be great financially or schedule-wise, and I'm going to miss who I thought my wife was for the last 15 years, but reality can't be ignored forever. It's a scary proposition, but I am confident I will make it through and make everything work for my kids. That's all that will matter for the next few years while I get everything stabilized. Thank you to those who made it through this slog of a post, and those who post here regularly with their advice, and also those who direct message me to ask for updates and check on how things were going. It is always nice to know someone out there cares, no matter how distant they are. I will make sure I respond to any and all questions, comments, though I may be slow to do so depending on schedule. We have reached the end of the story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. Did you DNA test your kids? Sorry, had to ask. And did you get an STD panel? OP reply. Not yet. I don't want them to have to carry any lies for me by not informing their mom. I plan on it as soon as I file, so it won't be their burden, and I don't have a pointless fight about spending $600 on something she swears is pointless. I made her get a STD test and share the results with me. All clear, thankfully, and that was big thing I was bummed out about because I had been very selective over the years to minimize my sexual partners because that was very important to me. Comment 2. And I'm going to miss who I thought my wife was for the last 15 years. Damn. Most of this post sounded like I posted it myself, but this line right here, amen brother. I actually wrote a goodbye letter to the woman who I thought was my wife, like she had died. I miss her, but I know she's gone forever. Replaced by this person I don't recognize. I like your post though. It shows the hurt you went through, that we all here are going through, but it also shows a strength. I hope more people read it and see that, and know they can have that strength too. It's the worst crime in my opinion. To love so deeply and unconditionally, and to trust so fully, and to be betrayed at such a deep and cruel level. And yet, we rise above it eventually. OP reply. Hey man, I'm glad you could identify with some of my ramblings. It's helpful to know what you're feeling isn't wrong, it's the norm I think. I realized a few weeks after DDAY2 that I wasn't mourning that my wife cheated on I was mourning the fact she wasn't the special woman who I held high above all others. She was just like all the other cheats and liars, and I was going to have to be done being her life partner. That was excruciating. Probably the first time in my life I laid down and ugly cried like a 4-year-old. Lol. The goodbye letter might be something I steal, thanks. Thank you for the compliments. I'm a pretty level-headed rational guy. The first think. I'm just being pragmatic and realistic about it. It ducking sucks going through, but I know my life will go on. Things will get easier and happier, and there are aspects of being divorced that I'm honestly even looking forward to. Big agree on your last statement. This is the worst pain I ever went through. I honestly think only the death of a child could eclipse what I felt the day of the big discovery. Comment 3. This is hard to read. They have been caught many times and they still went at it. It just goes to show what kind of person the two of them are. I would think twice before giving her another chance if I were you. OP reply. They are both disgusting in my book. It's beyond salvage at this point I think. Maybe had she come clean to me after affair 1 or 2 begging forgiveness, but 4 times is just borderline psychotic in my mind. Comment 4. I said it once, I'll say it again, one and done. Once they cheat, be done with them. I won't be surprised if his wife was on that Reddit community that promotes this vile behavior, telling her buddies how she got caught. Funny thing is they are never remorseful. I've been on one where 2 cheaters cry about feeling bad about what they did to their SOs, then when you go onto their comments they are all over Reddit communities bragging about cheating and planning it again. That's until they got caught, then they join the I feel so bad communities. Never trust a cheater, better to just walk and keep your pride and sanity. OP reply. Please check the edit at the top of the post for clarity. I didn't take her back after she cheated on me 4 times. I caught her cheating once and thought that was it. I was considering whether or not I would try to reconcile, and in that time I discovered the 3 other affairs over 3.5-year timeline in March. Since then I haven't been open to working on the marriage at all and have no hope for reconciliation. 100% agree on your last sentiment though.